Initially, I felt quite sorry for Blake Lively. Then I've been reading all the messages between them all, and absolute weapons-grade narcissist.
Look, I went through the 160-page. Blake Lively is a complete nightmare. She has the audacity to call her husband and Taylor Swift her dragons.
Blake sort of saw that as, oh, you're trying to use an Amber Heard tactic, but she didn't even realize, like, that's not a good defense. That means you're guilty because Blake, Amber lied, dropped a lawsuit with all his texts, cherry-picked those texts, removed emojis and like intent and backstory to these texts.
Literally outright deleted certain sections of the text.
Yes.
It is so offensive and so...
Did Piers Morgan just shake the very foundations of Hollywood's carefully curated image? Whenever Morgan takes the MIC, celebrities tend to brace for impact, and this time his sights are set on none other than Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, the couple often painted as untouchable Hollywood royalty. What has dropped isn't just idle speculation. It's bold, incendiary, and aimed squarely at the core of a lawsuit that already has the industry holding its breath. Even more daring, Morgan takes a direct swipe at the authenticity of Reynolds' beloved Deadpool persona, suggesting the wisecracking character may not be as genuine as fans believe. This isn't a passing headline or a fleeting tabloid scuffle, it's a calculated strike, delivered in Morgan's trademark no-filter style. The aftermath was immediate. Hollywood insiders scrambled to assess the damage, fans rushed online in disbelief, and social media lit up with debates over what this could mean for the power couple's golden image. 4 years, Lively and Reynolds seemed beyond reproach, but now, with Morgan's commentary cracking the facade, the narrative surrounding them may never look the same again.
PR rep who repped Johnny, who was behind this, Blake sort of saw that as, oh, you're trying to use an Amber Heard tactic, but she didn't even realize, like, that's not a good defense. That means you're guilty because Blake, Amber.
Piers Morgan. A name that by itself functions as a brand, synonymous with unfiltered commentary, sharp provocations, and a refusal to soften his blows. Whether you see him as fearless or simply infuriating, one fact is certain. When Morgan locks in on a target, especially within the insulated world of celebrity privilege, he rarely lets go. His style is unapologetic, often brutal, and built on the belief that no one in power should be immune from scrutiny. From his early career interrogating political leaders to his stormy run as a morning show firebrand, Morgan has carved out a reputation as a figure who thrives on challenging the establishment. Over the years, he has squared off against royalty, sparred with actors, and openly dismantled reality TV personalities who hide behind carefully manufactured images. Each time, his words have sparked debate, outrage, and headlines that refuse to die down. Now, however, his focus has shifted to Hollywood's inner circle. And not just any stars, Morgan is zeroing in on Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, one of the most protected and carefully packaged power couples in the industry. The questions loom large. Why them? Why now? What exactly set off this unusually pointed attack? The answers appear to stretch beyond celebrity gossip and into the tangled fallout of another high-profile figure, Justin Baldoni. A controversy tied to him has already shaken Hollywood's glossy image, revealing cracks in the facade. And it's this storm, swirling with allegations and hidden tensions, that seems to have given Morgan the perfect stage for his latest and possibly most explosive broadside yet.
I felt quite sorry for Blake Lively. Then I've been reading all the messages between them all, and which he's been putting out, obviously. And it just seems like a pair of absolute weapons-grade narcissists. Now, spray gunning each other with as much dirt.
Justin Baldoni, once celebrated for his breakout role in Jane the Virgin and more recently admired for his transition into socially conscious filmmaking, now finds himself caught in a controversy that could eclipse his rising career for months, if not years. What began as low-level whispers in industry circles has grown into a full-blown storm, centered on a lawsuit alleging troubling labor violations tied to his latest directorial project. While official filings remain tightly worded and his camp issues carefully polished statements, leaked reports and anonymous crew testimonies suggest something far more troubling. Workers describe marathon hours that far exceeded union standards, conditions on set that raised real safety concerns, and an atmosphere so intense that it allegedly pushed some to both physical and emotional breaking points. The narrative forming is not of a visionary set, but of one strained by pressure and plagued by accusations of exploitation. Baldoni's representatives have, of course, pushed back hard. They highlight his reputation as a filmmaker committed to empathy, fairness, and equity, promising that internal reviews will reinforce those values. But despite these assurances, skepticism continues to mount. Online, the clash has turned fierce, some defending Baldoni as a misunderstood artist under fire, others rallying behind the voices of crew members demanding transparency and accountability. Up until recently, Baldoni's troubles appeared to exist in isolation. But that changed abruptly when Piers Morgan stepped onto the stage, wielding his signature mix of sharp rhetoric and confrontational commentary. By linking Baldoni's controversy to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, Morgan has escalated what was already a combustible situation into something potentially explosive, positioning it as a showdown that could rock not only individual reputations, but the broader illusion of Hollywood's untouchable elite.
Yeah, I mean, as for the drama between them, like, if what he's alleging is true, she sounds like an absolute nightmare. I mean, I get the impression that it's like a prima donna that's come in, tried to take over and hijack the movie, and when she didn't get her way, she brought her much richer, more successful and powerful husband into
Hypocrisy, served ice cold. That, according to reports, was the biting opener to Piers Morgan's latest takedown, an opinion piece that struck Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds with the force of a thunderclap. The column spread quickly, reverberating across digital platforms and igniting a firestorm of debate. True to form, Morgan didn't waste time dressing his words. His central accusation was as straightforward as it was explosive: that Hollywood's golden couple had gone conspicuously silent while serious allegations of labor abuse swirl around Justin Baldoni's lawsuit. Morgan argued that this silence isn't merely awkward, it's damning. He painted their polished public personas as a facade, calling them out for projecting a down-to-earth, philanthropic image while allegedly ignoring issues within their own professional orbit. In his view, their compassion seems carefully curated for public applause, but absent when it comes to standing with industry colleagues facing real hardship. To drive the point home, Morgan contrasted their silence with their past activism. He reminded readers that Blake and Ryan have been outspoken advocates for children's welfare, climate justice, and other global causes, regularly leveraging their fame to amplify important issues. So why, he asked, does that same energy disappear when the controversy lands closer to home? Morgan further tightened the spotlight by pointing out Lively's prior collaboration with Baldoni, a link that, in his eyes, makes her current lack of response not just puzzling, but ethically questionable. And then came the pivot, the part of the column that rattled fans even more. Morgan turned his focus to Ryan Reynolds' most iconic role, Deadpool. With cutting precision, he raised the uncomfortable question of whether Reynolds' wisecracking, truth-telling anti-hero is now in conflict with the actor's real-life silence. For Morgan, the contrast was stark. On screen, Reynolds plays a character who breaks walls, calls out hypocrisy, and speaks the truths no one else will. Off-screen, however, Morgan suggested the actor is retreating into caution. That gap, he argued, is more than irony, it's telling, and perhaps the clearest sign yet that Hollywood's favorite couple may be more concerned with optics than authenticity.
Is this allowed? Like, Blake Lively dropped a lawsuit with all his texts, cherry-picked those texts, removed emojis and like intent and backstory to these texts.
Literally outright deleted certain sections of the text.
Yes, you heard that right. In a move that many have called audacious, provocative, and by some accounts even outright bizarre, Piers Morgan widened his attack beyond Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds to take aim at something entirely unexpected: Deadpool himself. Rather than confining his critique to Reynolds' silence over Justin Baldoni's mounting controversy, Morgan stepped further, suggesting that the actor's lack of response doesn't just raise questions about his personal integrity, it undermines the very spirit of the wisecracking anti-hero he's famous for portraying. In his column, Morgan argued that Reynolds' passivity in the face of alleged labor violations and mistreatment within Hollywood cuts directly against Deadpool's DNA. After all, Deadpool is a character defined by his irreverence, his willingness to mock authority, and his fearless skewering of hypocrisy. By contrast, Reynolds' current silence creates, in Morgan's view, a jarring disconnect, a betrayal, however unintended, of the cultural icon he helped cement on the big screen. The suggestion, of course, sparked immediate backlash. Many cultural critics dismissed the argument as theatrical overreach, a stunt designed to amplify outrage and keep Morgan's column at the center of the conversation. To them, dragging a fictional character into a very real legal and ethical storm seemed absurd, even comical. Yet, for others, Morgan's provocation touched on something uncomfortably real. It highlighted a widening gap between the carefully polished, PR-driven images that celebrities project and the choices they make when faced with actual industry crises. This framing posed sharp questions. Is Reynolds' silence a matter of cautious discretion, or does it reveal a deeper contradiction between the values his characters embody and the realities of Hollywood's inner workings? Does the couple's brand of activism and relatability, so often celebrated on red carpets and social media, lose credibility when they remain mute about controversies involving people within their professional orbit? Regardless of where one lands on Morgan's leap from fact to cultural critique, the fallout has been undeniable. Fan communities fractured, internet debates turned fiery, and Hollywood once again found itself cornered by uncomfortable questions. Whether it was a masterstroke of commentary or a shameless play for headlines, Morgan's pivot ensured one thing: silence was no longer an option for those under his glare.
Imagine how many people in the past have been victim to the kind of stunts that Blake Lively and her husband have pulled. Now, apparently in conjunction with Taylor Swift, who has oddly decided to distance herself from the couple, which is an interesting.
The fallout from Piers Morgan's sweeping attack has been nothing short of seismic, reverberating across social media like an aftershock that refuses to fade. Within hours, platforms from X, formerly Twitter, to Instagram and TikTok were engulfed in a digital firestorm. Hashtags surged to the top of global trends. Piers Morgan dominated early on, only to be met by counterwaves like Team Blake and Ryan and Stand with Baldoni. Each tag became a battle flag, rallying thousands into opposing camps and fueling a non-stop culture war that shows no signs of slowing. On one side, Morgan's supporters have framed him as a fearless truth-teller, an industry watchdog unafraid to confront Hollywood royalty. For them, his decision to target Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, despite their immense popularity, is proof that he won't bend to celebrity power or public adoration. In their eyes, Morgan is one of the few figures bold enough to strip away the gloss, call out hypocrisy, and drag uncomfortable questions into the daylight, but the pushback has been equally fierce. Critics accuse him of orchestrating spectacle rather than meaningful critique, arguing that Lively and Reynolds have been unfairly dragged into a lawsuit that is not theirs to answer for. To them, Morgan's portrayal of their silence as evidence of hypocrisy feels reductive, even disingenuous. They argue it reeks of headline chasing, a sensationalist ploy designed to generate outrage, not foster genuine accountability. And they stress a key point: no celebrity, no matter how influential, can be expected to comment on every controversy or legal dispute tied to the industry. Behind the public noise, Hollywood insiders reveal a more complicated picture. Some privately concede that Morgan has touched a raw nerve, exposing the industry's unspoken rule of silence, a code that often prioritizes reputation and financial stakes over moral responsibility. Yet others worry about the precedent being set. If public shaming becomes the norm, they caution, it could push stars away from difficult conversations altogether, making silence less about complicity and more about survival. As the online storm rages, one question grows sharper. Has Piers Morgan forced a necessary debate about celebrity accountability in today's world, or has he simply manufactured another cycle of outrage destined to fade? For now, the answer may rest with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. If they speak, their words could reshape the narrative. If they remain silent, that very choice may become the loudest and most damaging statement.
Justin Baldoni and the producer tried to harass this woman, this Mad Hatter, who no sane man would go near with a 10-foot barge pole. It is so offensive and
Piers Morgan's blistering assault on Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds has done more than stir gossip columns. It has forced into the open questions Hollywood has long preferred to keep in the shadows. Are its brightest stars truly living by the values they champion on stage, in interviews, and across carefully curated social media feeds? Or are those polished stances little more than branding exercises, crafted by skilled PR teams but rarely tested when the stakes become uncomfortably real? The debate quickly expands beyond this single couple. Should celebrities of Lively and Reynolds' stature bear a heightened ethical responsibility to speak out when serious industry issues, like labor disputes or alleged exploitation, make headlines? Or does expecting public commentary at every turn unfairly place them in the role of moral arbiters, risking their careers and reputations in battles they never chose? And then there's Morgan himself. Is his abrasive, confrontational style equal parts critique and spectacle, a necessary force to puncture Hollywood's obsession with its own image? Or is it little more than theatre, manufactured to provoke outrage and capture headlines without offering true accountability? Supporters call him a watchdog. Detractors call him a provocateur. Both may be right. What cannot be ignored is the impact. This controversy has pierced Hollywood's glittering facade, leaving audiences to reconsider whether the image of socially conscious glamour presented by its stars matches the realities behind the curtain. And as the days pass, the silence from Lively and Reynolds grows louder, carrying its own weight. In an industry where perception is everything, their refusal to respond risks becoming the most defining statement of all. Will the couple step forward with a carefully crafted rebuttal, attempting to reclaim the narrative? Or will Morgan's accusations echo unanswered, leaving cracks in the once untouchable image of Hollywood's golden pair? At its core, this isn't merely a feud between a journalist and two celebrities. It's a cultural litmus test, challenging us to ask how authenticity, accountability, and responsibility should be defined in an era of hyper-managed fame. So now, the question turns outward. Is Piers Morgan justified in his critique? And in a world where celebrity voices carry enormous weight, what responsibility, if any, do stars like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have to confront the uncomfortable controversies within their own industry?